Oh, welcome back to another episode of According to Flint. Getting away from the Western lifestyle a little bit. We deal a lot with rodeo, bull riding, but everyone knows I have other passions: music, drama, sports. I'd like to welcome this week's guest, a former, I hope I got this right, I did some research, a former Thousand Oaks High School Lancer. Am I right?
That's correct.
A Lancer, Montana State Bobcat, Calgary Stampeder, now number 49 for the Philadelphia Eagles. And I don't know if this is fact, but I'm just going to say the leading tackler for the Philadelphia Eagles. Can I say that? It's Alex Singleton. Alex, I'm close, right? This year, you've had a great year.
Yeah, I'm leading. I appreciate you having me.
Oh, man. No, and I know this time of year especially, you guys have a lot of commitments and different things, but the reality is you play a game for a living, and I don't think you're all as busy as people think you are. So.
I agree with that. I think it's almost more fun. People think you're so busy, they kind of let you be alone, and you're like, I'm not busy. You can call me. But my mom seems to think I'm always free, so she just calls me 24/7.
Well, that's a mom's job. And I'm glad. And I will say this, I'll talk more about your family, but I'm friends with like your mom on Facebook and stuff. And there is a different dynamic. And sure, I don't know a lot of guys out there playing other pro sports and stuff, but you have a dynamic with your family that is just so refreshing. It is like it's your senior year in high school and they're hitting every game with signs and wearing your jersey. That's what it feels like to me.
Yeah, it almost feels that same way to me. And I don't know, and it's kind of never stopped since my senior year. It's been over a decade now since high school, longer than that. And, it does feel like that. They come to every game they can. When we pulled into Dallas last week, all 5 of them were standing on the corner with their heads, and the whole team was like, "Hey, did you see your family out there?" And I was like, and this is 4.5 hours before the game when we're pulling in, and no one else is there yet. So it's true. It's not just for Facebook. They're about it all the time.
Is it? I suppose you're at an age now. It's not like you're in high school and you go, "Oh God, there's my parents again, embarrassing me." But it's got to feel now. It's probably a source of pride with the other guys. Like, where's my mom?
Yeah, it is. And, for me, because obviously it's been like that my whole life. So when I was younger, I felt that same way. I was embarrassed. I was like, why do they do this? Why do they cheer loud? Why are they so involved? But now, because I've met so many guys over the years, whether it was from Canada, in college, and now, in Philadelphia, who some parents, are working and just can't even come to games, for whatever reason, their support system's not even there at all. And, it's just them, grinding it out on their own. So to know that I have that behind me all the time is honestly why I play the way I do, why I feel the way I do all the time, because it truly is like the greatest thing in the world.
And then there's that, man, I can't get cut. I can't get cut. My folks have bought all this Eagles stuff. I got to stay now.
They've got Seattle. They've got more Seattle Seahawks, Minnesota Vikings, New England Patriots gear. So if anyone wants anything, send my mom an email, Facebook, or she'll, whatever you need, shirts, little garden gnomes, license plates, keychains. Nice. They got all of it. They do it all.
And for the people that when we put out the video of this, I hung the Alex Singleton Calgary Stampeders jersey just for you. That's not a regular part of the set.
See, I figured it was there just all the time.
I'll leave it. I'll tell you what, as we record this, I have a Facebook Live tonight. I'll leave it there tonight. Deal? I'll let it'll carry over.
I'll make sure to, make a comment just so everybody knows I know it's there all the time.
Your mom will tune in, so she'll notice it.
100% will notice it.
Completely notice it.
I won't even have to tell her. She'll just know.
Yeah, she'll screenshot it. Hey, Alex, check this out. Yeah, she's done it before. I wore that on my show one day, actually. Yeah. So thanks for noticing. Appreciate it.
I noticed.
Hey, but I did also got the Montana State University sweatshirt. My girls are both at Montana State University on the rodeo team. My family, we've been Bobcat fans forever. And what was the process of you going from basically Southern California, Thousand Oaks, California, How do you end up at Montana State? UCLA didn't want you. And they're probably, hey, in all seriousness, little truth to that probably, right?
Yeah. So no one else wanted me, actually. It was, so I was, I graduated high school at 17. So I was young when I was playing. So my junior year, I was 5'10", 170. And so no one obviously recruited. And that's a huge, and especially in California, that's when everyone gets recruited is their junior year. And
sure.
And then so, and it didn't, I didn't play very much. I started, but it wasn't like I was, one of the best guys on our team. And then my senior year, I was 6'3", 210. I obviously hit my growth spurt at 15 because I played all my games my senior year at 16. So wow. By the end of the season, I still hadn't had any offers. And, I had talked to all the other Big Sky schools. And at this time, Montana State was the number one team in the country in 2010. And so, it ended up happening. Coach Kane Ione, who's the defensive coordinator right now, was the linebacker coach at the time. And he came down and I don't know what it was. He just, now I know, we're kind of very similar people. We play the game the same, and outside the game, we're the same kind of person. But, when he came down and, met me, he was like, yeah, we're going to offer you. And I went on a trip. I only had sweatpants and a snowboard jacket that I thought would be good for Bozeman in January, which wasn't. And I committed right after that. And that was pretty much it.
Rob Ash, was Rob Ash your coach?
Yeah, he was head coach.
Head coach then. And he had a great career there. I met Kane Ione finally, like you said, defensive coordinator, day of the Bobcat Grizzly game, obviously not this past fall. And I have trouble keeping track of how many times now in a row the Bobcats have beat the Grizzlies, but met Kane Ione. I would agree with you. I'd never met him. You guys, I could see how you clicked when you say you're the same outside the game, off the field. I see it. I completely.
Yeah, and because I didn't know, I didn't know why this guy was going to offer me. Because my thing, like Weber State, I think was like 0-11 in 2010 or something, and they didn't offer me, and I was like, oh, I'm going to go to junior college. Montana State's coming. I had gone actually on a visit to Cal Poly that season, and they had beat Montana, who was the number 2 team in the country.
Sure, you bet.
And I was like, oh, that'd be cool to go to Montana. It seems like they got good uniforms or whatever. And this is before I do anything. But yeah, and so I couldn't be more thankful. I love Montana in general, and then obviously Montana State, really obviously changed my life, and I owe everything to them.
Yeah. There's, I cater this podcast. Obviously, I deal with a lot of Western sports, so rodeo things, small town. Like I take pride in being from a small town here in Montana, 1,700 people. By the way, Alex, I don't know if you know this about me. My picture is on the wall of my high school in my football uniform.
Yeah, I know. Weren't you you were a 3-sport.
Yeah, I have the school record and I have the school record in the long jump, man.
Not that you post the picture of you on your high school wall often, but I see it pop up quite a bit.
Thank you.
I didn't know who else was sharing it, but I do know. It seems to be every time you visit the high school, there's a Facebook picture.
Somebody every time I have any friends that are in the high school they send me the picture, the feathered hair.
Hey,
number 1. Yeah, I know.
It's really the hair. I think it's the hair more than
It is, yeah. But the experience, I would bet a kid coming from Southern California that going to, even though people in Montana call Bozeman Bosangeles, a lot of, for Montana, it's a lot of people. But in general, I would think that your experience there had like a small town, rural America feel. That was refreshing to you. Am I on track? Did you have a great experience there as far as friends, the connections there?
Yeah, I think, and people now, Bozeman now is completely different from when I first went there. I remember, when I landed there and, Coach Ione picked me up at the airport, it was still, you had to take the county road to get to the airport. There was no, huge highway coming off where, you get catered to Big Sky. It was, Bozeman was Bozeman. It was that small, like you said, rural feel. And yeah, I loved it. It was that small town to me. To me, and when I tell people, in Philadelphia, Montana, it's only got small towns. Even Billings, according to, Philadelphia would be a small town.
When I have a chance to go speak to kids, and I've done graduations and different career things around Montana, and I go speak, and I've traveled enough that, I'm in Billings right now, the biggest city in Montana. This is small town America. I tell kids that this is small town. You're learning that. Is there a fellowship, a connection, maybe a different friendship that you have with guys in the NFL that played in, I still call it 1AA, FCS schools, Montana State? You play with Carson Wentz, who's from a Bismarck guy. Is there a little bit of a connection there?
Yeah, it's huge. And yeah, FCS in general, but I would also say, just Montana State guys, like more than anything else, there isn't, a lot of Montana State guys right now, but, the Montana guys, even, like Cole Anderson, the older guys, there's just generational, like, pass down of everything. But we played Arizona a few weeks ago, and their running back, Chase Edmond, played at Fordham. And during the game, I made a tackle, and we were kind of just talking. He goes, hey, I just wanted to, say, like, I love what you're doing, man. I'm a fellow FCS guy, and, like, told me where he went. And I was like, that's just super cool. You don't hear guys that went to Clemson and, like, Oklahoma behind you having those conversations. And so it's just really cool to, like, we all recognize, the work that you had to put in to, be able to get to that point in your career.
I would think, because I think guys from a Clemson, Alabama, they're quote unquote supposed to be there. Really, if you're playing football at Alabama or Clemson or Oklahoma, that was just a stop on your path. I think guys, University of Montana, Montana State, Fordham, it is like, I made it. I mean, that's a whole different kind of a path, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just different, because guys, I mean, there's guys that are in the locker room, and it's a downgrade when they go to the NFL from where they, their colleges and stadium sizes, fan bases and everything. But, when you go to Montana State, the amount of kids that I just played with, from Montana that were like, this is pro football. In the state of Montana, I mean, Montana and Montana State is pro football. And it's, that same, like, guys, once they play there, they're like, cool, I've played football, and now I'm going to go do whatever's next. That's where it, like, that was the pinnacle, and that's the end. And, it is funny, like, the different aspects and, like, viewpoints that everybody has in it. Because, I play with so many guys now that are just like, oh, I knew I was going to do this since I was 11 because I was 6'4", 210 pounds. And you're just like, man, that is totally different than how I got here.
It's funny because probably one of my best friends in Shoto, Montana, where my picture's on the wall. Anyway, another guy whose picture's on the wall there, one of my best friends there, Mark Fellows, who's a legend at Montana State. And he went on and was drafted by the Chargers. He had a bad hip injury, ended his career, but was amazing. And I always think that this guy went to Shoto High School, and he's playing in the league alongside, well, he talks about his locker at the college Shrine game was beside Jack Del Rio. They were partners, and Jack Del Rio's like, Montana? Mm-hmm. I mean, I can't imagine they got to think you rode a covered wagon and a horse. And
100. And then same thing, like I know Kirk Timmer, he was on that same team, and he was from Big Timber, and he was with Dallas for a little bit. And yeah, the stories they say, but when they, you went to school in Montana, even people in California think, we rode horses to school, or, rode. And then when I tell people Montana State's never had a snow day, they can't believe that either. Because when the city of Philadelphia, if it snows, and when I say when it snows here, it doesn't go to the ground. It just snows in the air. The city shuts down. There's no one driving, and I'm like, oh, you guys need to go to Montana and see what real life is like.
Especially Bozeman.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Well, the pollution melts it in Philadelphia before it hits the ground. The pollution. Yeah.
That's very true.
Is it harder? Well, rhetorical question, because of course it's harder to be seen at a place like Montana State. You have your pro days. If you're good, you're good. I think if you're good, you do get seen. But it is harder. That's a tough exposure thing. Montana State. Mm-hmm. You got to stand out. And then I look at this year, who's the linebacker that played for the Dante
Olson.
Dante Olson won every award you could for the Grizzlies. Still isn't quite making it, and he will someday. But it's an uphill battle just to get in front of some eyes, isn't it?
Yeah, because now where I'm at, and I know how it works. And because you don't know how it works until you've been in it, or you go to one of those bigger schools that everyone before you has done it. When I was at Montana State, no matter how good some of the guys were, the Caleb Schreibises, the Brad Dailies, who won the Buck Buchanans and did everything, Denarius McGee, none of them went to the NFL. None of them, were even on practice squads or even went to workouts. So you didn't know what to do, what to expect. I know my pro day, it had snowed before, and they scraped out a line for us to run 40s. And if we don't have an indoor facility, so you're running that 40 outside, and there's not an asterisk next to your time that says it was 32 degrees and snowing this day. You're not as fast as these other guys.
Yeah.
And it's a different road, and a lot of the whole thing about the NFL it's more about like how they look, how the big picture looks. And it's almost easier to just take a guy who's had it always on that path than to take someone else and hope that their ceiling might be the same. But I think it's more of the floor. Like someone at an FCS level, your floor can be lower than a guy. Like your ceiling might be the same athletically.
Yeah.
But just the floor, they know a guy, or they think or presume that a guy, if you can run a 4.38 and you went to Clemson, that no matter what, you're going to be let's just say a 4 out of 5 all the time. And you might not ever hit that 5 out of 5, but you will never go below that 4. When if you just for whatever reason went to Montana State, had a different path, your floor might be a 2. Even though you play all your games at a 5, you can play those games at 2, and they don't like to bet for that.
Yeah. Yeah. Interesting. I always think the process too. I see it. I've talked to a lot of rodeo guys, and that's how, you and I got acquainted at the Calgary Stampede. So you've been around a rodeo a little, and
greatest outdoor show on earth.
It is the greatest outdoor show on earth. Rodeo guys, I talk all the time. At the end of the year, when they crown the world champion in each rodeo event, it isn't always about who the best one is. It's about the one that learns the process. In rodeo, it's how do you enter? Do you know how to travel? Do you know how to handle this aspect? And I would think pro teams, in dealing with a Clemson guy and Alabama guy, those guys have so much. I think this is kind of what you were touching on. They have everyone in the program knows how to get them ready for the NFL. Yeah. Everybody's been there. And so they just soon deal with that and not have to teach you the whole process. Kind of, is that?
Yeah. And, and I'm sure, because rodeo, there's just so many different levels, and you can compete, however long, however short, you can go to the highest rodeos, or you can go to your, small town rodeos and take home whatever the entry fee was.
Yeah.
But, the NFL, like you said, there's one league to play in.
Yeah.
And so if you don't know that process, it's a rude awakening, especially, because I have had so many people in my corner, like we said, my family and all this stuff, but none of them know. None of the coaches I had in college really knew. They knew as much as they knew, but they didn't know everything. And some places, if you're playing for Dabo Sweeney, he knows every little hit detail to get you to the NFL.
He's probably got a similar payroll to a lot of for his players.
I don't know much about it. I can tell everybody Montana State players do not get paid.
I can tell you. What was the 30 for 30 on who got the gold? Eric Dickerson, did he get the gold Trans Am? He all of a sudden had a gold Trans Am at college.
Yeah, when he was at SMU, and then they got shut down. They're the only ones that have paid players, though. The only ones.
Only school and only college in history that ever paid their players. Amazing.
Yeah, buddies that I know now. I know guys, they didn't make $1. They swear by it. They, not a single penny. They didn't graduate with hundreds of thousands of dollars.
No, and got that degree that they said. Anyway, we could go on all day. Real quick, and then I want to move on to some other stuff, but I have had a couple friends, guys I've been acquainted with, that were on practice squads. And you were on some practice squads. And you hear, I don't know that people, I do pay attention now that I've kind of known some guys when they say he was activated from the practice squad. What's the life of a practice squad guy? I can't imagine having to go to practice every day and never getting to play in a game. That's like the ultimate suck of athletics.
Yeah, it's the most brutal thing. So a lot of people first think practice squad is completely different set of players. Like, hey, you guys live differently. You don't go to the same meetings. You're just kind of like someone that was like on a bus one day and they were just like, hey, you look like you'd be a good practice squad guy. Like, no,
Rudy,
the guy,
like Rudy.
yeah. And they just assume it's like this magical story that some guy's lucky. Like, no, you do everything. It's like in high school, when you've got 80, I guess you guys didn't have 80 guys on your football team in high school.
We had 50-ish back then.
So after your starters, everyone else is, doing the scout team. They're showing the cards. They're giving you the look of the team you're playing.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what practice squad guys do in the NFL, except you still sit in all the same meetings. You still have all the same lifting times, usually worse lifting times. You're usually 6 a.m. before meetings because, the older vet guys aren't getting up early. They're on their schedules and their routines. So you do everything with the team. You practice. Wednesdays is full pads day. You're giving looks. You're taking all the extra reps. Our team, we do developmental where if you're on the practice squad, you spend 10 extra minutes every day and you do more stuff. And then on Sundays, you just don't get to play. And so that's the only difference between a practice squad player and an active player is you just don't get to play in a game.
No, you don't make as much. Come on. That's another, but you're making a living, correct?
Yes. I think, the NFL, they've got some money now. Now the CFL practice squad, I don't know if they're making a living. You're making a living. You are making more than a living being on the practice squad in the NFL.
Good segue, by the way. I remember when you went, and I've seen you see a lot of players go to Canada and play, and I like watching Canadian football. And I've spent some time, I've spent some time up there. But that was, you informed me after I got to know you, your mom is Canadian. So on Canadian football teams, I didn't even know this. There's a quota of Canadians they have to have on the team. You satisfied the quota, right?
Yeah, so you have to have 7 starters, and then there's however many guys on like 20 guys. I think the roster is like 45, and 20 of them have to be Canadians. So yeah, and because my mom was Canadian and I got my citizenship while I was in the NFL, bouncing around from practice squads, I counted as a Canadian player in the CFL.
And
what a loophole.
Thanks, Mom. Where was your mom from? I think I asked you this one.
Toronto, but she had moved when she was 12 to Arizona. So
doesn't he? I mean, she doesn't even say a boat and doesn't care about Tim Hortons.
No, none of it. She calls conditioner cream rinse though.
Oh, she does. It's still.
That's one of the funny.
Does she say that is a good llama and drama and garage? Because that's the other.
No, she doesn't. Yeah, she doesn't do any of those. There is a couple things, but now I'm just so used to because I lived in Canada and I had to deal with their boots and stuff. You're just now I just hear it all the time. So now I'm just used. And now I'm friends with some Canadians.
Yeah. What'd you learn playing? What happened to you up there that then you were able to come down here and finally get on a team? And I know then you were kind of on the practice squad too with the Eagles and got activated. But to me, if I got to pick something out, I'll just float this to you. When I watch you play now on Sundays, you look way faster. And I think the whole key to playing in the NFL is speed. Am I right?
Yeah, I would say, and that's, something I've really, really focused on the last 2 years. When I was in Canada, I just learned how to be a pro first and foremost. I grew up, like I said, I was young going to college. I didn't redshirt. So my first year in the NFL, I was 21. And, from Montana State going to the NFL, I went to Seattle, who had just come off back-to-back Super Bowls. And so I was definitely a fish out of water, not, it was just tough. It was just going from Montana State to the NFL. It is what it is. And so when I went to Canada, I just learned how to be a pro. And then so after that, and then once I got back to the NFL, I think that's why why I didn't play right away, last year, because the game's different and it is all about speed. And that was one thing that I emphasized this year and just kind of have taken full advantage of it and being in conditioning shape to be able to be fast all the time.
Yeah. Are you smaller? Are you playing lighter right now than you were in Canada? I know these are little technical questions. I'm just curious.
I don't know if I'm allowed to. Yeah, but no, I am.
I know it. Look at me.
I'm leaner, so I look bigger. So it's kind of a.
I know you were thinking that about me too.
I was going to ask,
It's the Bobcat sweatshirt. It makes me look bigger. I have said this has been a weird year for everybody. And I've said in interviews, not long on the radio, I said, it's affected my job, of course, because I perform in front of crowds. I think professional sports is completely the entertainment business. And I struggle watching professional sports with no crowds. And I've made the comment, if any professional athlete currently says, no, I just play because I love the game, we don't notice there's not a crowd, I said, they are lying completely. I know the energy you play with and what you get from the crowd just watching you. Man, it ain't the same, is it?
No, and I would say, what's funny is because every place we go to, there's different rules, there's different protocols. And so every stadium is just different. But when we played in Green Bay, first, like you said, when there's no fans, it sucks. It's horrible. It's not what you would think. You do play for the love of the game, and you do get into a groove and energy, but it's not like it. But when we played in Green Bay and in Arizona, they had tickets for people who were like staff members of Green Bay and Arizona, just the organization. Mm. They were allowed like 70 tickets. And just having 70 people all only cheering for the other team made the biggest difference in the world. So if you could honestly, if just one person was there cheering either way,
your mom, hey,
that would be enough for 10,000 people. But it truly makes the biggest difference in the world. Just 30 fans in a stadium that holds 100,000 people made a difference. From nothing to 30, and it's incredible how much the fans matter.
I noticed that when we went back to work and there was 30% crowds, there'd be 1,500 people in a 8,000 seat arena. In my case, you forget how much they mean to you, really. How much they care. I saw most people saw on social media, JJ Watt's thing. He went off about, we get to play a game for a living and fans care. They care so much. And that you feel that when you're in front of them. I thought that was a real great statement, especially in the year we've been having, just to play in front of those people that really care, especially in Philadelphia.
Yeah, there's nothing like the city. I can tell you, I played in the nicest places, from Bozeman to Calgary. Seattle's nice people. Philly, they're nice people, but man, this city lives and breathes by the Philadelphia Eagles. So I will say this year, the city is not happy with us. And when the city is not happy, it is not a happy place. Like Mondays are gloomy. It's a different world. I mean, they threw snowballs at Santa. Like that's Philadelphia. Yeah. Like you can tell when we have no fans and we lose, you can hear the boos. Like it's bad. It's bad.
My man, one of my favorite players, and I love the guy. I don't know him personally. You could probably vouch for the fact that I've never heard anything but good about him. No one in Philadelphia Eagles history was so glad to not be playing in front of fans as Carson Wentz was for the first half of this. I feel so bad for that guy. And I'm not just joking about it, but you're real people. You guys are real people. Carson Wentz is a real guy. No matter how much money you give that guy in the offseason, he's a guy, and he's a good guy. And when he's struggling, to be on a team with someone like that and see him struggling and know this could be it as an Eagle, that's got to be tough, doesn't it?
Yeah, and you feel for guys like that because, one, you most likely love the game just from a point of, like, as a kid, they love the game. And so they don't want to fail. And then if something's going wrong, and whether it's your fault or outside or whatever, you feel that pressure. And like we talked about, the fans, like how much they truly do love it. And you feel that. And so when, whether the pressure builds on you and it could be good or bad. And, in some cases when it gets bad, like it, has, for Carson this year, which first and foremost, I think he's like the best. I've never seen someone throw a ball like he does. And I trained with Aaron Rodgers in the offseason. Mm-hmm. Like the way Carson, the athletic ability that he has is bar none. He's like truly incredible. So but yeah, it's gotta weigh on him because I talked to him the other day. I know how much he wants to be great and tries to be great and works to be great, and so just from a competitor standpoint, you just know it kills him.
If Carson would like to come on here, I could help it. I mean, I could make him feel better. Just let him know. I like Bismarck.
Make you feel better.
Cars, I can help you. Spread the word around the locker room. Anybody?
I'll let all the guys.
Yeah.
I'll just take them to a rodeo. Some of those guys will lose they'll all say they'll ride a bull too. I promise you that. If you get some waivers, I could get some. Lane Johnson, he's from Oklahoma. I bet he's been on a bull before though.
Could be. I know you brought some guys up to Calgary, which, by the way, just real quick, because I want to get on to something else. The way I should clarify, yes, you were at Montana State. I just watched you from a distance, respected what you did. The reason we got acquainted is I'm at the Calgary Stampede one year. I knew you were playing at Calgary, so I'm getting ready one day, and I put my Bobcat, I'm putting Montana State socks on just because I wear Bobcat stuff. And I took a picture, and I said, today's socks go out to former Bobcat and Calgary Stampede great, Alex Singleton. I get a message like 10 minutes later. Hey, man, you got tickets? Can I get some tickets to the rodeo? Like, you bummed tickets to the rodeo, to the Calgary Stampede. Let me just clarify. That is how we met first.
It's 100% how we met. Once you shout the guy out, he's got to ask for some tickets, right? So.
Yep, you had your white straw hat on. I picked you out easily.
Hey, I didn't dress myself. There was a nice rodeo queen that did it for me. So
yes, there was. Dang sure was. Hey, I respect your sister, Ashley, who's cool. Has inspired. You guys have quite the relationship. I mean, she's your big sister, right? She's older.
Yeah, she's older, 3 years older.
And Down syndrome. You do amazing work with the Special Olympics. And I have called the Special Olympics in Montana the greatest sporting event I've ever been to. I've been involved with it a little bit. And you said one of the most meaningful things to me personally ever. You said, I worry about my work with Special Olympics that people will think it's just a cause that a pro athlete took on. They have no idea how much it means to me. It means the world to you, doesn't it?
Yeah, I say it all the time, I'm the second best athlete in my family, not only because, just my sister will be able to compete, the rest of her life and win more awards and medals and everything, but the passion that she has for those sports and every Special Olympic athlete has for their sports it towers over any guy that I've ever seen play the sport that I play. And I mean, and don't say that in any disrespect to any person that I know that plays professional football, and don't say it either to say that we don't work and do everything we can every single day to be great at this game. But the passion that you can see in someone's eyes who intellectually or physically disabled and go out there and give everything they can. I've seen guys who can't physically get up, can't walk, and they're on a soccer field, their dad, their brother, someone's pushing them in a wheelchair, and they're doing everything in their power to kick that ball, and they can't use their leg. But then their wheelchair, their brother pushes them into the ball, and that ball goes into the goal. And the facial expression, the reaction that you get out of that guy is the greatest thing in the world. And that's why I love Special Olympics so much, because it gives that community, the opportunity to participate in sports, and it doesn't matter whether they can, do everything or do nothing. They're going to get full inclusion, and that's what it's all about.
You had social media, tackle inclusion. Is that inclusion? That's a big catchword for you and what you do.
Yeah. So this year, I did, and which is really cool that we actually, I think a few hours ago, hit the $10,000 mark. I know week one, I was shooting to raise $1,000. So the fact that we hit $10,000 tackling inclusion this year is, because, Special Olympics is the most inclusive thing in the world, I think. And like you said, just being around and being able to volunteer, going to support, it brings, like I said, people in a community who, might not always be able to make decisions for themselves, might not, be able to do a lot of things, but when it comes to Special Olympics, it's their field, it's their court, it's their, you know, whatever sport it is, it's their pool, and they get to, you know, be the leaders of it. And it's truly, I think, like I said, the best organization in the world.
What's your sister's like go-to, or does she do what's her go-to event?
So her go-tos, it's swimming and bowling, and then soccer. She does soccer. Soccer isn't through Special Olympics, but she's a swimming and bowling are her.
I gotta say, you guys were doing some workouts in the garage where you were going live, and you were doing obviously workouts that could benefit people. Ashley was helping you, you know, and I chimed in. Ashley's way cooler, and you guys recognized me one day. But I will say, I think the greatest dynamic between you two is you're just your annoying little brother. Like, that's what when I watch you guys, okay, let's do this. And she'll like look at you like, Alex. Like,
oh yeah.
And it's hilarious.
Oh yeah. And there's times, because before we're doing it, I'm like, hey, so what do you want to do? And, you know, some people be like, you know, why does she let you talk to you like that? Or why does she talk to you like that? I'm like, that's just my sister.
Yeah.
Like, at the end of the day, and someone, you know, people ask, you know, was it different growing up with someone in your family with special needs? And I'm like, I don't know. One, it's my older sister. How would I know anything different? You know, and also I'm like, I mean, it's kind of your loss for not having someone, you know, with special needs in your family. Because I mean, I know just from the people I meet who meet my sister and just kind of hear our story, her story, like instantly are like, man, like I need her in my life. So it is the coolest thing. Yeah, she's just the best.
Something you may not have even noticed, but because I do have friends that are Down syndrome, really associated with some kids that they're just cool. There was an article, I was reading an article someone posted about you, and something caught my eye, and I took offense to it. Probably nobody else did. Said Alex's older sister Ashley suffers from Down syndrome, and I went, she doesn't suffer from anything. I thought it was a poor choice of words. Happiest people I've ever met. If my day is not good, happiest people in the world to be around. It's always a great day, seems like.
And I know that article. I know the lady who said it, and I know she 1,000%. Because it was a live thing and didn't even mean to, because it was more like the my cause, my cleat thing, and just kind of
exactly.
You know, and I talked to her after it. She's like one of the most supportive people of Special Olympics like in the world, and but yeah, and I tell people all the time, like this year, I think like I have been almost more like kind of like just angry inside because I haven't been able to just be around, you know, Special Olympics. You know, there's no events to go to, because when you see, you know, like you said, just the energy and just the coolness of those athletes, like it gives you a new outlook on life. And like without kind of having that, you know, the people that I lean on that, you know, kind of balance my life out to be able to go spend time with them, really, like I can tell like I'm just not as like cool and relaxed like they are, because you know I haven't been around everybody as much.
Yeah. Before I let you go, I was talking about, I have a sister in Southern Oregon, Medford, Oregon. We were talking one day, and my mom said something about, oh, Flint's watching the Eagles. He's kind of friends with Alex Singleton, 49. And she goes, oh my God, the guy with the long hair. Like, it's a stigma. Please reveal why in Canada you grew your hair out long. It was the hockey thing, right? You told me.
No, so originally why I grew it out. So when I was at Montana State, I had it. So everyone, well, you know, Montana guys, you grow your hair out. Like at some point in your football career, everyone tries to grow their hair out. Most guys
gotta hang out your helmet.
You quit. And first and foremost, anyone out there who doesn't like guys with long hair, all it shows is true commitment. You find a guy that'll fully commit to something for a year and a half. I mean, it's commitment. It's a true sign of commitment. So if you're ever looking for a man out there, just if he's got long hair, he'll be committed. But no, so one of my buddies, Cody Cleveland, he grew his hair out and then he started balding in college. And one day he was like, oh, I bet you like it was either $20 or $50 that you won't grow your hair out for this season. And I was like, oh, whatever, like I'll grow it out. And I grew it out my senior year, and so I grew it out. And then, you know, by the end of the season, it was long enough to kind of like slick back. It's that awkward stage, we call it, in the middle. And then I was doing the NFL workouts, and then all of a sudden, by the time, you know, I was going to teams, I could pull it back into a bun, and I was like, well, now I'm just going to be the Montana kid with long hair. and I've just kind of wrote it out ever since.
You wrote it out. Well, you told me it's great in Canada because all the ladies think you're a hockey player.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and people, it's not. Yeah, and the NFL, obviously in the U.S., the NFL is the NFL,
right?
But in Canada, it's the NHL is
completely
above the CFL, and so if you have long hair and you're, they don't. I mean, a lot of the hockey guys are obviously smaller, but you can get away with because I'm good buddies with Johnny Gaudreau, who's the Flames' best player, and so you go out with him, you have some hair, and they think it's a little. Coming out your helmet.
I think mine is at that in between stage. In case you were wondering, it's got that glare on the forehead.
It's because when you're slicking it back, you're practicing in the mirror. It'll come.
Thanks, Alec. No, you know what? I think my best hair days are behind me. I really do.
They're on the wall at your high school. If any.
It was back then. It was a bi-level, not a mullet. It was a bi-level. That was.
Hey, my roommate also has long hair, and I know someone was trying to convince him last week to cut the full mullet, and it would have been.
I'll let you go. I know you got media stuff to do. Do you room with a fellow football player or just some guy
No, I room with a fellow football player. We started last year actually he was on IR, but we've lived together the last 2 years. Yeah, Joe Ostman, he's the man. Everyone watch him.
What is he?
Number 95. He plays D end.
Okay, where's he from? Where'd he go to college?
He went to Central Michigan. He's from the UP, Upper Peninsula, Michigan.
The UP it's brutal up there.
Oh yeah,
awful.
Awful.
Yeah,
but
it's good you can handle the winter.
Right?
Listen, I know we joked that you're really not that busy, but you are, and I don't like to bother you during the season, but I do tell people that I brag on what a good guy you are, consider you my friend, and it's nice that the guys that help me here too. It's good to have a connection. I told you that. Good to have a connection to something we've always watched. It brings a humanity there, and I think we all need that. And I know, I have a lot of fans we deal with in the rodeo world. We're watching rodeo. We're not even watching football anymore. There's been a lot of political things intertwined in professional sports now, but I know guys are good. It's good to have the connection with you. And I don't know if that's, not something I touched on with you, if it creates difficulties, but it's just good to watch. I know how much you love the game and I love your passion for it. And I just appreciate you taking time with little old Flint here in my podcast to have a good hour or so.
Hey, well, of course, always, any second of my day, only for the Bobcat alone.
Okay, well then we'll do it.
No other reason.
Okay, but I'm going to say this. I will reward you, but I pay people to be on this podcast. My reward to you is I will attend, once crowds are back, I want to attend one of your games. So my reward to you is I'm bumming tickets off of you for a game.
There's no better. And then maybe if Montana State has Cat Grizz this spring, we'll have to bum tickets off Choate. So we'll
go on the side. I'm sideline all the way, man.
Oh, me too. I'm alum.
Yeah, I'm not, but I know people. So, and if you're playing the Packers, that'd be the game I'd want to go to, and it would be questionable if I'd cheer for you.
That's okay. I did grow up a Packer fan.
Me too.
I won't say it too loud in Philly because they don't.
Do you look over your shoulder?
Once you're a bird, you're a bird no matter what.
That's right. Listen, buddy, I appreciate it. Alex Singleton. Good luck the rest of the way. You got a great career ahead of you, and I appreciate you, my friend.
Appreciate it. Thank you. You as well.
You got it.